Hey, what's up, A-Aron? Back for another reaction to Diana Ankudinova. Here we're going to do something very different. We're going to be doing Take On Me from A-Ha. This was originally released in 1985. I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 79, and I grew up and so forth. And then also in college, we had 80s night every Thursday, and I had a blast with that. This song I know very well, although I haven't listened to it for quite a while. So I imagine she's going to annihilate it. It'll be really interesting to see if she takes this way up there because this song does, at least the original version, goes quite high. In fact, I could sing the song, but I can't really ever hit that high note other than maybe occasionally if I'm lucky. So I know, obviously I'm not a vocalist, but I know that it is high. And that's also typically what we've seen from her higher outside of her range, or at least what she typically does. But again, I've seen in some of her other videos, more recently, for me at least, that she has expanded her range, so it'll be interesting. So let's jump in. I'm really interested to hear her rendition of this.
Сейчас также прозвучит песня, которая появилась во время пандемии. У нас есть очень хороший педагог на проекте Александр Степин. Он мне помогал создавать аранжировки, сводить звук и вообще записывать эти каверы. Take on me. I don't know what I want to say, I'm singing anyway. Today's another day to find you, shining away.
Oh.
I've been looking for the road.
Oh, and then even deep.
Take on me.
I like the arrangement. Beautiful. So yeah, first things first, I like the arrangement where the music cuts out and it's just her a cappella with I think a couple beats and then they cut right back in. Um she sounds pretty good on the upper register. She's nowhere near how she sounds on the lower register. I suspect that she's going to continue growing. When is this? 3 years ago. So even now today she might be better. Um, but I suspect that her upper register is going to continue growing. It doesn't have the same resonance and same support, in my opinion, not being a vocalist, just, hearing, um, as the rest of her range. And I could be wrong. I want to go back and listen to it again, but I actually feel like she faltered the pitch a little bit, went out of pitch a little bit during that high note. But otherwise, it sounds wonderful. In fact, I was actually thinking before she got to that note that she's going to do it to me. I already know it. She's going to do it to me where I can never listen to this song, the original on the radio anymore, without hearing her. I feel like she's going to take over the song for me. And I feel like she was already starting to, other than that top note, but it's not a deterrent. Again, it's such a high bar for everything that I'm looking at all aspects of her from that perspective, right? And to me, that high note wasn't quite there. I'm actually a little surprised she even went for it, based on the range I've heard her. She's contralto. She's super low, right? So that's super super massive range. So it's not a knock on her. I mean, that's a massive range. What is that, like 5 octaves now we're dealing with or something to that effect? So yeah. Yeah, she does. So she doesn't have the best vibrato in there, and I feel like she was starting to onset the vibrato a little bit, lost the pitch a little bit, and came back. So that was maybe the first time I've seen her not be perfect. I mean, really. So it's to some extent a little refreshing, actually. It really is. But even more, it's inspiring that she's looking to expand her range and to take this on because when before I did the song, you heard me do the little sidestep on that before the commentary because I suspect that she actually would change it and she wouldn't even go for that high of a note because it's so high outside of her range. Bravo. I mean, seriously, like, yes, I'm saying it's not perfect, but look, how else do you continue to grow than to just do it, right? Sure, she could practice and so forth, but I think it takes some bravery and I'm sure she knows and recognizes it. She's a world class, top tier, out of this world, well, not even top tier, right? Like not from this planet talent. So she clearly knows. um but the fact of the matter is she doesn't care, that she's not embarrassed by it. She doesn't care. I'm sure deep down inside she's realizing that this is part of her journey. Fascinating. Wow. That whole thing is technically so difficult. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. That. Oh, she opened. You hear that polyphonic tone there. I'm sorry, I was talking through it, but I want to go back and hear it genuinely, and we'll continue. But, um, yes, right, like that. Just like okay, I recently reacted to "Oh, It Is Not Evening Yet," I think it was. Um, and the judges' comments were, "There's so much more in you. I feel like we've only seen one side of you," and they kind of challenged her to stretch herself. And I think we're seeing that here, which is amazing. But then when she goes back to who she is and what she specializes in, which we see here, oh my gosh. And so we're getting a mixed bag of that, and I love it. Again, growth, and this is 3 years ago, so I'm sure that what she does today is influenced by this. Ah! Oh, that was much better. Wow. So yeah, that second time was so much better. Um, okay. Whew. I love this girl. I don't know what else to say. Um, I'm so happy and excited to be listening to her on this journey and just yeah, she's so incredible. Um, I don't think that she's going to be replacing in my mindset the iconic version of this song. Of course there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Um, but I would definitely listen to this again and again, and I would love to hear this song um little as she progresses. Maybe the original recording, she said she recorded during the pandemic. I'd love to hear that, where maybe she had multiple takes or whatever, and I'm sure it is perfect. And I'd love to hear as she progresses and works on that upper range, how her voice matures from that perspective, because um, it's an incredible feat, right? Typically, right? Try to sing something, even if you're not a vocalist, like I'm not, right? So I'm trying to picture it from my perspective, right? Try to sing something that is too low or too high for you, and you might practice it and work on it, but it doesn't mean that you're going to sound the same as you do in your comfort range, right? And I know this, even though I said I'm not a vocalist, I know this from the trumpet, right? And just because I could hit a high note doesn't mean that it carries the same sound and resonance and tone is where my comfort lies, right? But I will never be able to do that if I don't continue to try to go for that. Now, there's technique behind it and proper build-up and so forth, and I'm sure she's working with the right people and working on it and developing it and probably already has at this point. This is 3 years ago, so, or at least it was posted 3 years ago. I've been saying 3 years ago all along. I don't know if when this was recorded. She said during the pandemic, it's 2024, so I'm assuming that it actually occurred 3 years ago, putting kind of logically timeline in there. But nevertheless, she's had ample time since then because she's an artist. That's what she does. So, she's probably already incredible. Um, I don't think I've heard complete upper register. I've heard some of her higher stuff, but I'm pretty sure this is the highest I've heard her. And so it would be interesting to see where she goes. But nevertheless, that was fantastic. I've gone talked about the same things on and on. So apologies if that seems boring and mundane, but I'm voicing my thoughts and my reaction, and I appreciate you. Look, if you like Diana, first of all, if you want to see more videos of her and others, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Most of you haven't subscribed, so just simple hit the button, right? But in terms of Diana, if you really like her, I've got a specific membership for her, and you get videos in advance. There's a community that's about to start and so forth. So, do check that out in the description. Regardless, we will see you in the next one. Thank you very much.